Hi, everybody. It's Bricky Boy for you today. Hope you're having a wonderful day today. And what we are doing in this video is a little bit more serious. I don't know a better way to describe this video. It's not like crazy serious where it's like super hardcore, the world is ending serious, but it's a little bit more deeper themes, I suppose is the best way to describe it. It's not your usual Bricky video. So it's a little bit, I wanted to discuss a little something with you all and ask your opinion because I have an interesting story ahead of me, and and half the reason I'm telling the story is so I can hear what you think about the whole deal. So let me go ahead and get started. So I live in Southern California, as many of you know. And down in Southern California, there's a lot of freeways, 405, so on. But there's one freeway called the 57 freeway. The 57 freeway makes your way up over into the San Bernardino and also the sort of Los Angeles, Riverside, a lot of those areas. It takes you all up in those areas. Here's a map if it makes it any better. So around on the way up on the 57 freeway, I was making my way towards the more Los Angeles County on the right-hand side, sort of an upland Claremont area. And when I was heading up there, I was going to go to kind of it was a dinner type thing. And I don't want to get too specific onto the reason, but mainly it was kind of important, not like super important, but it was kind of important that I be there on time. And the traffic was very, very rough on the way up there. Now the 5 freeway was fine, but when I got to the 57 freeway was starting to get backed up hardcore. And I'm talking not just backed up, but like full on parking lot stuff, moving at 3 to 4 miles an hour on the freeway for a large portion of it, as well as stopping multiple times throughout the trip. But as I was making my way forward, I was in this traffic for quite some time, and I was starting to run a bit late. I was getting a little bit worrisome on that. And I did give myself a little bit of leeway time so I wouldn't be super late, but my leeway time was kind of crunching as I was stuck in this traffic. And eventually, as the freeway was going through, part of it began crunching up onto the side. And by that, I mean all of the cars started making their way over. And because of that, I immediately assumed, oh, maybe road construction or something like that, as they were making all over to the right-hand lanes. And mainly made about a 5 to 6 lane freeway into a 2-lane, hence the traffic. So as that was happening and as I was making my way over to it, I started seeing what they were moving from. When they were moving from was a car accident. And the first car I saw, it was some kind of sedan, silver sedan, maybe, give or take. And the front end was totally smashed up, just completely crashed up. The windshield and stuff was broken, but it didn't look like the inside area was that bad. It was just the main front of the car was really broken up. But next to that car was another car. And of course, there were debris and a piece of bumper and the other kinds of debris in the area. But next to that car was another one that was completely overturned. And it was just pop on its head like that. And it was a big car, very big car, maybe Escalade. I'm thinking it was about the size of an Escalade, maybe a little bit smaller. I'm not sure. Escalades are pretty large cars. But it was one of those kinds of cars, and it was flipped on over. Surprisingly, not that busted up, however. It had broken windshields and such, but it wasn't entirely like squished on itself. It almost was just kind of like laying there as if you just flipped over like a toy. But of course, on the ground were all these different parts of glass, as well as the pieces of each of the car. And the back of the black car was all messed up bumper as well. I'm assuming that the sedan hit the big car. But when I went ahead and stopped the car, because I ended up going around and pulling over in an attempt to stop and see what had happened. And I don't mean just like slow down to watch everything. I mean go and pull to the side to stop to get out and assist whoever was over there. Because like I said in my more recent story video, I am an EMT. I'm technically an ex-EMT because I'm no longer a certified one, as my certification has most likely ended. Basically, I can't work as an EMT anymore. I would have to recertify myself. And it doesn't mean I've lost all my knowledge for it, but I can't go ahead and try to get a job yet until I recertify. So because of this, I was thinking maybe I can possibly help with whatever situation was going on. But there is something in America called the Good Samaritan Law, which is if you are an active duty firefighter, doctor, anything in between, you legally do not have to stop for any kind of car accident or wounded person on the side. Of course, if you want to, you absolutely may, but you are not legally obligated to unless you're currently on duty. So, if you're driving an ambulance and you see a car crash, you are legally forced to stop. But if you're driving home, you don't have to do anything. Now, I felt like stopping because I thought it would be a good thing. I'm not, working as that anymore, so this law doesn't apply to me anyway. But I felt like checking out anyway. So I pulled my car over along with maybe 15 other cars that were already pulled over. And I saw the scene. And the scene consisted of about 15 to 20 individuals all standing and walking around, with a lot of them crowded around one person. That one person was sitting kind of like you see me sitting right here, but this would be the medium between the north and south freeway, kind of back like that, kind of holding their chest. And in their hand and their chest looked like a piece of cloth or something. I saw one of the gentlemen had no shirt on, so I'm going to assume that was their shirt. And the cloth was rather bloody, as was their shirt. Their shirt had a lot of blood on it, but when I say a lot of blood, I'm not referring to like it's just completely spurting. It's a decent amount of blood on it. And the person, however, was talking and laughing a bunch. They were sitting down there laughing and stuff and talking to all different kinds of people. And so I'm going to assume that they were either not super hurt or they, still were acting decently aware of themselves. One of the first things you ask when it comes to a new patient is the 4 questions of something called A&O, alert and oriented. It's who are you, where are you, what happened, and what time is it? And, most of those are differentiated between each other. Main thing, if you ask somebody and they answer like, oh, what time is it? And they say 5 and it's 3, that's fine. But, if you ask them, hey, what time is it? And they say, oh, it's in the middle of the night and it's 2 p.m., there might be a little bit of a problem up there. Point being, they seemed like they were doing fine mentally, but obviously had a little bit of an issue. And I was looking at all of them, and they were all kind of talking to the person, and all waiting around. Some of them were on their cell phones and such. And I looked at the scene for about a minute, give or take. And then I assumed to myself that I was really not needed because there were already so many people there. And I don't know if they had a medical professional there or not. And I mean, I'm just I just have some basic knowledge. I'm nothing special. But I didn't know who was there or not, so I ended up thinking to myself, well, I don't really want to be late to my things, so I drove away. And it's been kind of eating at me for a bit. This happened about a week and a half ago, give or take, and ever since doing that, on the way driving to the dinner I had to go to, I was kind of beating myself up over it for quite some time. Because for a long period of time, I was always telling myself, anytime this happened, I would stop and I'd be ready for action. I am ready to help. And that's what I was always telling myself every single time. And, it's almost like when you're psyching yourself up when you're taking a shower, you're like, oh, I could have totally won that argument if I just said this when he said this, and you're having fake arguments with yourself and somebody else. And in my head, I always said to myself, oh yeah, why would I not stop? There's no reason for me not to stop. Of course I would stop for something like that. And then when confronted with a situation, I just didn't. And it's been kind of making me think a lot lately. And it's been weird. I don't know. It's been really weird. And because of that, I kind of wanted to make this video to want to talk about it, but trying to go over the reason for it and asking you also your opinion. Because for me, my reasoning was overcrowding. One of the biggest issues that comes with anyone who gets injured is that everyone wants to be a part of it. Everyone wants to help because they want to be the big hero of the situation. So in this situation, it was, let's say if someone hurts himself at a mall or someone passes out at a mall, you just see a group of 20 something people immediately crowd that person. And that crowding can be pretty detrimental sometimes. And so I already saw a large amount of people crowded around this person. And I thought to myself, well, adding myself into that mix would already be a bad decision. But then the other part of me thought, what if, there's already a medical professional there and they're already helping them out. But then again, what if there isn't? And would it be good if I was just there for 5 minutes just to double check to make sure everything's okay? And I didn't really know what to do as this entire thought was going through my head. And I was also trying to make sure that I wasn't late to what I wanted to get to, because that was also something I was thinking about was like, oh, if I stop, I'm definitely going to be late to this thing. But then the other part of me is like, who cares if you're late? This is far more important than being late to this type of thing. But it just kept on gnawing at me back and forth, the decision to make. And I made the decision to just keep on driving and go do my thing. I wasn't late. I made it on time, and that was good and all, but it was kind of poking the back of my head for the past week and a half. And I wanted to ask you what you would have done in a situation like that? I think all of us would immediately assume that we would stop and try to do something that entire period of time. But when actually confronted with a situation like that, I'm curious if we would keep to our word, because I thought I always would have, but I ended up not, and it feels weird. I don't know if I feel like I did something massively wrong because of that, or if maybe it's just it just goes against what I expected I would have done. A situation that I have played in my head over and over again that ended up not going the way I thought it would. It's very it's weird. It's very weird, and I don't know exactly how to think about it. But I wanted to throw the question off to all of you. What do you think? What do you think of the decision I made, and what do you think you would have done? You know, we all can play the oh, I would definitely do this thing in our head any time of the week, but actually doing it sometimes different. So yeah, I just wanted to make this video to talk about that a little bit. I know, I'm sorry, it's not memey or anything. It's nothing crazy, but it's something I wanted to mention, and it's been getting in my head a little bit. So yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.